It's Friday, January 17th, 2025, and this is the Gateway from St. Louis Public Radio News. I'm Rod Milam. After a St. Louis Walgreens closed last year, North St. Louis residents had to travel very far to get to the closest pharmacy. Now owners of a new business hope to fill a void that Walgreens left.
The idea surfaced that a pharmacy was the answer because we were located in a pharmacy desert.
St. Louis Public Radio's Sarah Fenton reports on why they think that they can succeed where larger stores have failed. The St. Louis Board of Aldermen's Public Safety Committee passed 8 police technology resolutions on Thursday that will give police grounds to use surveillance cameras and phone trackers. St. Louis Public Radio's Lucretia Wembley has more.
7th Ward Alderwoman Alicia Saunier and 14th Ward Alderman Rasheen Aldridge opposed the resolutions due to a failure to post updated documents to the city's website several days before the vote. Saunier also expressed frustration that people were not allowed public comment at the meeting as indicated on the agenda.
But it's hard for me as their alderwoman to do my job and tell those people, I'm going to keep you updated, I'm going to keep you in a loop, and then things get posted on the website at 9 a.m.
Public Safety Committee Chair Brett Narayan says city police ultimately made the information available online. The police surveillance measures also include mugshot comparison software and alerts that detect the sound of gunfire and share its location with police. I'm Lucretia Wembley, St. Louis Public Radio.
Ameren customers can share their thoughts on a proposed rate increase at public hearings next week. St. Louis Public Radio's Kate Grumke reports the average customer would see an extra $17 on their monthly electric bill.
Ameren, Missouri is asking state regulators to approve a 15% increase. Jacqueline Hutchinson is Director of Advocacy for Consumers Council of Missouri, which pushes for affordable utilities.
Everyone who pays a utility bill has an opportunity to show up at the public hearings and talk about how that will impact their families. And we'd like to see the rooms packed.
An Ameren representative said the increase is needed in part to pay for infrastructure upgrades to address reliability. If the increase is approved, it would go into effect this summer. I'm Kate Grumke, St. Louis Public Radio.
A Christian conference is returning to St. Louis after what will be a 6-year hiatus in 2026. St. Louis Public Radio's Will Bauer reports the return of the Church of God in Christ's Holy Convocation should be an economic boon for the region.
The African American Pentecostal denomination held their conference in St. Louis from 2010 to 2020. After a pandemic break, they've opted for Memphis instead. Explore St. Louis Chief Commercial Officer Ed Skapanak says recent renovations at the Americas Center are helping the Tourism Bureau lure back conventions like this one.
So it's a whole different landscape now. The expanded facilities, the enhanced amenities are being really well received. So you'll see us continue to book these larger events because we've got the facilities to do them now.
The Holy Convocation will be held from 2026 through 2028. Explore St. Louis estimates 180,000 people will attend over 3 years, and that should generate roughly $250 million of economic impact. I'm Will Bauer, St. Louis Public Radio.
A freshman Missouri lawmaker from Kansas City says they're ready to defend the LGBTQ community in the Missouri House. State Representative Wick Thomas was recently sworn in to represent Missouri's Jackson County-based 19th District. They're the first non-binary and transgender state legislator in Missouri history. Thomas says they're in the legislature at the right time, especially since GOP lawmakers have made curbing transgender rights a priority over the past couple of sessions.
Even recently, before 5 years ago, I would not have said I was going to run for state representative. But it feels full circle that I'm here in this building during this time period.
Thomas was a guest on Politically Speaking. You can listen to their interview by going to stlpr.org or wherever you get your podcasts. CVS, Walgreens, and other retail pharmacies are closing stores all around the country and including St. Louis. That leaves some communities vulnerable to becoming pharmacy deserts. St. Louis Public Radio's Sarah Fenton reports that a new pharmacy in North St. Louis hopes to fill the need created when a big chain like Walgreens is closed.
It's the first thing in the morning, and 2 workers at Boca Pharmacy in North St. Louis are repackaging pills for patients using a refrigerator-sized machine. Pharmacist Brene Thomas left her job at a big chain pharmacy to come work here when Boca opened late last year.
If somebody wants to come in and talk, it's like, hey, I don't have to worry about getting back to doing a whole bunch of work, I can actually help you.
The gleaming new pharmacy is in the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood. It doesn't resemble a CVS or a Rite Aid, and it looks more like a small bank. There are no aisles, just a large counter at the front and a workspace area in the back. Boca is inside a brand new building owned by Doorways, a nonprofit housing development on North Jefferson Avenue for people who are HIV positive. This St. Louis location is the first pharmacy Boca has opened outside of New York State. Jacob Jamron heads up the company. He thinks this community-based pharmacy can succeed where larger, less nimble stores have failed.
I think we use a different approach. I mean, you got to have the same pharmacist there every day, because if you're not warm and welcoming, it's the only way to have that type of relationship.
Opal Jones is the president and CEO of the Doorways housing nonprofit. She says it's important the pharmacy is inside the housing complex. And it's not just for people who live at Doorways, it's for everyone.
We knew we wanted to bring retail on the campus because we said, okay, if we address the stigma around HIV, one way to do that is to bring the community into our surroundings. A pharmacy was the answer because we were located in a pharmacy desert.
Residents of the Jeff Vanderloo neighborhood were distressed when Walgreens closed its store on North Grand Boulevard last spring. That meant the next nearest pharmacies were 2 miles away, and that was a problem in this historically black neighborhood. Residents here have lower than average rates of car ownership and higher than average rates of poverty than in other parts of the city. That's according to data reported by the St. Louis Department of Health. Bobby Bonner is a real estate developer who works in Jeff Vanderloo.
Especially when you have low-income residents and seniors that are on fixed incomes and on Medicaid and things like that, their resources to travel to get to other stores outside the neighborhood is very limited.
But even though the neighborhood needs a pharmacy, Boca doesn't yet have many people coming in. Boca head Jamron says it only has around 24 customers. Some in the neighborhood didn't even know a new pharmacy had opened. Ernestine Stewart's a resident and member of the Neighborhood Planning Committee. She's not convinced those behind the pharmacy have the neighborhood needs in mind.
Well, I'm not saying they're doing it to help. I'm saying they're doing it to help themselves, not to help us.
She wants the Boca pharmacy to help residents, particularly elderly ones, understand they can use the location here and that those customers can get their medicine and have it covered by insurance.
How difficult is it going to be? How much is it going to cost them? Is it going to be cost friendly? None of that is considered. You know, we're not hearing any of that.
But it takes a new pharmacy a while to get off the ground. CEO Jamron says he's waiting for credentialing approval so the business can begin to fill prescriptions using certain insurance providers.
Once we get going and we start taking care of each person as they come in and we find out who the providers are in the area, I think we'll be just fine.
He says once that happens, he's confident the word of mouth will carry the business forward. I'm Sarah Fenton, St. Louis Public Radio.
And that story, reported on by Sarah Fenton, was edited by Tracy Tong. The Gateway is a production of St. Louis Public Radio, a listener-supported service of the University of Missouri St. Louis. Music provided by Ryan McDeely of Adult Fur. I'm Rod Milam. Have a good day.